Hard to believe the 1st of December just days away and a lot of big events happening this very weekend. One of them is the live Nativity out at Grace Fellowship Church just outside of Titusville. And joining us this morning is the pastor of that church, Phil Taylor. Good morning, Phil. Good to see you.
Nice to see you, Luke. Thanks for having me in.
You've been a busy guy.
Yeah. We've the church itself has been very busy over the last number of months. Things have been happening, and a lot of the preparations for the live nativity have started even in the latter part of summer.
Wow.
Just takes a long time.
And now you had mentioned during the break there that this is the 9th year for the live nativity.
Yes, and it's really something that kind of, I would say, took us by surprise. We have always enjoyed doing the event itself. I think we were kind of overwhelmed the first year that we did it, having made preparations for, maybe a few people to come through. And just from year one, the traffic that we had was astounding. And it's just increased every year to where now we have people that come from all over the region, Akron, Ohio, just north of Pittsburgh, Erie, PA. We've had people come down from Jamestown, not because they were passing through, but they specifically heard about the event and they come down to it.
That's incredible. And not only that, but they look forward to it every year.
Yes. And I'll have to say, too, that Titusville has really worked well with us because they have the opening of their event of the lights and Santa and all that stuff going on, and it coincides with the live nativity. So that opening weekend, so to speak, of December has turned out to be something pretty big for the whole town. And it works out really nice.
Now we're looking at some images from last year.
Yes.
Is there pressure for you to up it a little bit every year, or after 9 years, is it a pretty safe thing that you guys just go out and do it?
Well, it's amazing because there's a number of things that just happen. I don't know that we necessarily have this drive to make every year something bigger happen. It turns out that way, though. I think the biggest thing was when we went from kind of the wise men being a part of the stable scene, which is the traditional thing. It's not the biblical thing, but traditionally in the nativity you see all the shepherds and the wise men there. To move them outside and then take the big step of including a live camel.
Right.
I think that just kind of took everybody by. Because we didn't really advertise it the first year. I don't think we may have. I'm not sure, but it was seeing that. So now that you've got a live camel a part of it, that just in itself, the presence of that brings it up. And then we had one of our church members decide that Bethlehem was actually under Roman occupation, and so we really upped the foot soldier presence on horseback and torches, and they were there actually collecting the tax during that period of time. During the birth of Christ, that's what was happening, is everybody had to report to their hometown and pay a tax. And so the Roman soldiers would have been there enforcing that. So
and that's part of the experience, correct?
Yes, it is. You come in and you actually receive a plastic coin. Everybody in the car gets one. And then when you're just about to leave the village, a Roman soldier stops you with a tax collector, and everybody gives that coin back to the town.
Wow!
And so it's pretty amazing.
So going back 9 years ago, if somebody said, "Hey, you're going to have a camel down the road," would you have believed it?
No, I wouldn't have even known where to get one. I have to say that my wife and some of the ladies in the church really outdid themselves to even. I mean, in northwestern PA, if you want to rent a camel, that even sounds funny. And we're going to rent a camel for 2 days. Where does it come from? And so they were able to find one at a petting zoo that's down in Grove City, and they carted up but for both nights. This year, unfortunately, something happened with the scheduling. We won't have it Friday night, but we will have it Saturday night. But to have a camel there and to make that step, it's just incredible. It really is.
You had again, we were talking during the break that this is one of the first years where you sort of been able to step back and watch it unfold in front of you, which shows how much passion there is to pull this event off every year.
Yeah, the people in our church have determined that this is going to be an outreach that we do. And I'm very grateful for the passion that they do have. There's all of the people that have responsibility over the coordination of it. We have, I think, 4 or 5 what we would consider department heads, so to speak.
Wow.
Where we've got construction, costumes, props, the actors, and a warming station. And those 5 people are what makes this thing happen. And then each of them have dedicated volunteers working with them as well. That we have ladies at the church that are running sewing machines, making costumes. We have about 110 actors, but every single year those kind of fluctuate with the people. So you have to make sure that you have costumes that fit, costumes that didn't get so trashed the year before that they weren't able to be cleaned, and that kind of thing. And so there's a lot of maintenance going on.
Has this become a year-round discussion?
It's kind of funny because the first couple of years, I would have to say that it was a scary conversation, because I think after year 2, we kind of realized, okay, we're in this by maybe a little bit of pressure from not the community, but just people in general. They're
right.
Like, you're doing this again, right? Because they'll come through and they'll say, is this also going on next weekend? And we go, heavens no, we can't do this again. We can barely get it all to happen this weekend. And so we realized after the second year that this was something that we were going to have to do. And so the first few conversations of the year, in like February or March, when we say, okay, what's happening with the Live Nativity this coming year, there's kind of like a little bit of a dread almost. Well, that didn't happen this year. It's like, okay, this is what we're doing. We got to make it happen, and a lot more difficult because we have limited space because of the renovations at the church. We have about 1,000 square feet of the church that's unavailable because of renovations that we're doing. Mm-hmm. And so that makes a big scheduling issue for getting people in. But
when people go through, do they stop you at the end and say, you guys did a good job here, or maybe that didn't quite happen that way? I mean, are people that astute to what's going on as they're driving through?
Yeah.
Do you get into those conversations?
Yes, and there's really not been any. There hasn't been any criticism. The critical response has been of how amazing it has been done. I would imagine that people, for example, like with the shepherds and the wise men, it's just tradition. When somebody's setting up, even on their, on your hearth at home,
right,
you've got the wise men at the stable. Everybody accepts that. It's just not biblically accurate. And so us removing the wise men and putting them outside, a number of people comment on that. They'll say that just really shows that you're paying attention to detail. We work really hard at involving a lot of the senses. And so people recognize that. We have campfires going. We have somebody who comes and they're actually making soups and stews. And so we want people, weather permitting, to have their windows down and be able to kind of take it in. We have a blacksmith who's hammering away. We have a stonemason doing the same thing. Carpenters. Wow. And so with all that, that's the kind of feedback we get. It's amazing what you've gone to make this into a village.
We're here with Pastor Phil Taylor of Grace Fellowship Church and the Live Nativity happening this weekend, Friday and Saturday nights. 8:20 is our time. This is the Morning Drill on Stream Television and the Allegheny News Talk Sports Network. If you weren't busy enough this weekend, there's some other things happening that the church is involved in. One of those events is Love Inc. Presenting Community Advent Concert. And some folks from your church will be performing. The Grace Fellowship Church worship team will be on hand, as well as other churches involved in that. And I think that's going to be held at the Free Methodist Church.
Yes, and that's something that I know that they've been wanting to do on an annual basis. A lot of times it depends on the participation. Because of it falling on our Live Nativity weekend, it has been difficult. We've done it just one other time, and we really felt that we wanted to get back involved with it. We're a huge supporter of what Love Inc. does, both in helping them out with various projects that they have, making sure that we facilitate the backpack program that they do and that kind of thing. And we really wanted to be able to be there with them to support them in that, because over the last couple of months we haven't had Love Inc. as visible in our church as we liked to in the past. And so we said, yeah, we would really like to do it, even though it's a busy weekend. It's a great event for a wonderful cause. When you talk about raising money for people or raising money for helping those who might have particular needs, you really don't have to look much further than Love Inc. because all the money stays right in our community. I know that there's other programs in town, but sometimes if they're a national program, even though they're telling you that it's staying in, there's still that question, okay, this is a national thing, how much of this dollar is actually staying in the community? And I'm sure the programs are doing a great job at keeping that money here, but with Love Inc., it's only in our community. It's a national organization, but Love Inc. is central to Titusville, and that's what the office here does things in Titusville. So we love helping them out and supporting them, and Debbie Miller does just an amazing job. They just recently opened up a storefront.
I know, and it's beautifully decorated.
Yeah, and if you drive by it in the late evening, it just really looks cool.
You mean 4:00?
Yeah, right. Yeah. But if you drive by and you see it there, they just did a great job of sprucing that up and making it really appealing to go in.
Absolutely, and again, that's sort of the local touch. But you're spreading your wings on a global scale as well, and you've been on some trips, and you've actually talked about some of those trips you've been on. In fact, you just got back, in October from where you said, talk a little bit about that, what you're doing on these trips.
So this is something that really, again, took us by surprise as a ministry, because I'm not necessarily personally a missionary. I'm a full-time local pastor, love the local church, but some doors were opened up to me through a gentleman that comes to our church, and he's 81 years old and travels full-time to various places, and he started a couple of Bible colleges. And so through that, he said, we're really looking to get some other people involved. He said, I'm not being pessimistic, but I'm 81, and I know that I need to pass this along at some point. And so he said, would you consider coming along with me? And so in 2015, I went on my first trip with him. And from that point, I've been back 4 times now.
Wow.
And I teach at a Christian college. It's called Kilimanjaro Christian College, where the students there are already involved in their local church. And so it's not necessarily young kids trying to decide if they're going to go into the ministry. You're working with people that are already fully dedicated to the work that they're involved in. And so I go and I teach a college level accredited course at this college, and I teach an entire semester in 1 week. And it's so it's all translated into Swahili. We're right now we're working on a course together. I'm taking 2 other men from our church this time, and one of them is kind of taking the front on writing the course, and then we submit it, and the course gets translated into Swahili, and then we go and teach, and we teach through a translator. And it is amazing. It really is incredible to be able to see that you can do something, and it's not dependent upon the size of the local church. That's something that we really emphasize at our church, is that we're a modest northwestern PA rural church, and we're able to touch people's lives in Africa, in Eastern Europe, and in Asia. We have a presence in each one of those places, and it's been incredible to see that happen. And for me to be traveling to some of these places has been a huge step of faith, because my wife, even when she met me, she was more along the mission side. She kind of pictured herself being more in the full-time missions and doing something, where I was like, my mission field is United States. We need help here, and I want to be a presence here. Well, I've traveled more than she has. So
her mission has become to handle you.
I know, right? Yeah, she's keeping me under control, and but it's just been an amazing transition that's happened. The Lord has just really opened up so many opportunities for me to do some things that, as a college student, I never even imagined.
Has that changed you personally? Has it changed the way when you step up in front of everybody? every Sunday morning. Is that Phil Taylor a new Phil Taylor, having gone through that experience?
I would think so. I would say it would have to be, because when you go into an environment where you're teaching people, some of the people that are in my class have been in the ministry longer than I've been alive. And so that's a big responsibility. Wow. And so what they're doing is they're looking to further their education, to kind of, in some cultures, it really is more about the piece of paper you have in your hand than the life experience that you have. And so going from that and then coming back to the local church, I would say that it's really given us a purpose in what we do, that to make sure that what we're doing is we're not just having Sunday morning. We also want to be able to educate people about the gospel. We want our people to be able to share the word of God just as easily and just as vibrantly as I do. And to look at me and to say, well, you're the pastor, you're supposed to do it. Well, Scripture doesn't really lay it out that way. The Bible says that if we call ourselves followers of Christ, then we are carriers of the gospel. And so we like instilling that into our people. It comes out in the live nativity and other things that we do, that we say. Just on Sunday, I said, you guys are doing the ministry. I'm standing at the end, handing a Christmas card, thanking them for coming through. But the entire experience is what you have dedicated, and that 10 seconds, literally, that person is driving by. They're getting an experience that they won't get at any other point in the Christmas season. So we let them know you're doing the ministry. And in this particular instance, we always joke about it. At least I do. I don't know that everybody does, but I'm standing at the end almost taking credit for something I didn't even do. I didn't have anything to do with it. And everyone's like, oh, you've done just an amazing job. And I don't stand there and argue with them, but right. It's true. I haven't really done the work that the people that are in the field and the ones that have put all the set together, they have been doing ministry. And I think that that's something that we like to instill in our people that come.
Do you step back, though, and smile at just, again, going back to just the passion of pulling something off like this?
I can't help but realize that it is something like this can never be done without a thorough buy-in of the entire congregation. A lot of times when churches do particular events, as I talk to other leaders in our community and other places, the involvement in events is sometimes around 30 to 40%. They say, okay, we've got a church of 100 people, 20 people have invested time into this particular event. The live nativity, we have 100 and probably 15%.
Wow.
Because everybody's involved and we get help from other churches. So I can't think of anything.
Do
else.
They reach out to you, or do you reach out to them?
The other churches?
The other churches.
It's kind of both. Usually when somebody sees it, if they really get excited about it, they'll contact us and say, how do I get involved? But right around October, we kind of let churches know that have been involved before, or the people themselves, not so much the church. We don't contact a church and say, let your people know. But if somebody has worked with us in the past, we remind them, hey, live nativity time is coming up. Do you want to come? And then what'll happen is they'll say, so-and-so, my friend, is curious, can they come and do it? And now we have a guy that's a real Jew that's one of our priests that's blowing a shofar right in the middle of Bethlehem.
Wow.
He comes and dressed up like one of our priests, and there he is. And I can't even tell you how. How did he know? What did he do? But he contacted us. I think he may have gone through it, but he said, I want to come and be a part of it next year. Can I? Yes.
Wow.
So we have that aspect too. So yeah, it's from both us reaching out, people seeing it and wanting to get involved.
And that's this Friday and Saturday nights. What time?
6 to 9, both Friday and Saturday.
All right, Pastor Phil Taylor, good to see you this morning.
Thank you for having me in, sir.
Give your family our best this holiday season. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Thank you.
All righty. Final look at news is coming up next.